Welcome back to Who Killed Who, and in today's episode, I'm looking at the very fan-maligned Scream 2022 released in... well, you can probably guess that. I absolutely love Scream 2022, and I consider it the best Scream sequel to date. It's got an outstanding cast who play characters that may not always have a whole lot to do, but absolutely make the most of the screen time they're given. I also feel like it takes quite a couple of risks compared to the other sequels, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I absolutely love the direction that Radio Silence took this movie in. For a Scream movie, it's a lot darker and more emotional than the other ones, but it also still has a very effective balance of humor and horror that we expect and love from this franchise. Not to mention, it also has some insanely brutal kills that boast a pretty hefty boost in blood and gore compared to the other movies. Overall, I know a lot of people think that Scream 5 is the worst sequel, and that's okay. For me, it's the best the franchise has been since the original movie. I'm so thrilled this movie's success spawned 2 more sequels because it absolutely deserves it. Like just about 98% of the other Scream movies, Scream 2022 also has 2 killers this time around, and together they stacked up a total of 6 bodies, with the other 2 kills being the killers themselves for a total of 8. Our killers this time around are Amber Freeman and Richie Kirsch, who, in my opinion, are the best Ghostface duo since Billy and Stu. I think they emulate Billy and Stu the best since Billy and Stu. They're also the first duo in the franchise that actually work together all the way up until the very end and don't end up turning on each other last minute. Like I said, this duo brought us 6 kills, which consist of Vince Schneider, Judy Hicks, Wes Hicks, Deputy Clay, Dewey Riley, and Liv McKenzie. The other 2 deaths in this movie are the killers themselves, which we'll get into. Without further ado, let's take a Stab 5 time travel back to 2022 and uncover the killers in each scene. Vince Schneider is a Woodsboro street tough who had a secret relationship with Liv McKenzie prior to the events of the movie. He's played by Kyle Gallner, who may as well be a Scream King at this point, because he's been in a plethora of other horror movies such as Jennifer's Body, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and most notably both Smile movies. What a catalog. We last see Vince taking a piss outside of the bar he and our main characters were kicked out of, when all of a sudden, he hears his car start and the radio playing the franchise's unofficial theme song, Red Right Hand, by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. When he goes to turn it off, Ghostface appears behind him, who stabs him straight through the neck in tempo with the song. This is a very good kill to start the movie off, and I love that the stab and signature knife wipe are in tempo with the song. Great direction from Radio Silence here. I know a lot of people think that this kill was done by Amber, and I understand that, but I personally think that this was Richie's kill. We last saw Amber leaving the bar with our friends after they get kicked out, and assuming she leaves with them, which she probably did, I don't personally see how she would have had enough time to put the costume on and kill Vince without being seen. Richie, on the other hand, could have left when Sam fell asleep in the hospital and made it back just before she woke up, so for me, this kill goes to Richie. Returning from a recurring role in Scream 4, Judy Hicks is the new sheriff of the Woodsboro PD, and it's revealed that she had a son named Wes prior to the events of Scream 4, who is now 17 years of age. She's played by Marley Shelton, and her death comes when she's on her way to pick up sushi for her and her son in her police cruiser. On the way there, she gets a call from Ghostface, who threatens her son, which makes her pull a Yui and speed back to her house. Just as she gets to the front porch, the killer comes out from behind a bush and stabs her multiple times in the broad daylight. Sad to see her go, but man, this is a good kill that also showcases a different type of Ghostface robe. It was designed to look more homemade, aka by a crazy stab fan, and it has significantly less sparkles than the other ones, and the sparkles that are there look very misplaced. Still looks amazing though. While both killers were on scene for this death and the next one, I think Amber scores her first body with this one. It makes the most sense considering Amber was the one who wanted to kill off all of the legacy characters and wanted to prove Mindy wrong, who told Wes that his mom is safe because she's not a legacy cast member, and leave Richie to have the remains, of course. Plus, if we study the kill styles of both killers, Amber is a lot more stabby, whereas Richie is more of a stealth killer and likes to get the job done right away, so good on them. Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, Amber is played by Mikey Madison, who has had a huge rise in fame these past couple of years thanks to this movie and her performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She deserves the praise. She's a fantastic actress and does an exceptional job in this movie. As mentioned before, Wes Hicks is the son of Judy Hicks, who is understandably a paranoid and timid person due to his mom's past experience with Ghostface killings. He's played by Dylan Minnette, who was in 13 Reasons Why, and is the lead singer of the alternative rock band Wallows. His death happened shortly after his mom's, when he finishes taking a shower and begins to get the dinner plates and utensils ready for him and his mom. He hears a strange noise coming from the front door, and when he sees it cracked open, he hesitantly shuts and locks it. He looks behind him to be greeted by the killer, who pins him up against the door and slowly pushes a knife towards his neck before stabbing through the other side of it, and the blade comes out of the other side of his neck. God damn. This scene also features a very tense fake-out sequence that also showcases Radio Silence's awesome direction for this movie. Richie scores his second kill this time around with Wes, Wes because, as I said before, he seems to be the one who is a lot more of a one-and-done killer and the one that kind of just picks up the pieces that Amber leaves behind. He likes to go for the fatal blow immediately so he doesn't have to get his hands super dirty, like a mastermind. Deputy Clay is a character that we literally never once saw up until his off-screen death, so this one is going to be a little boring, just FYI. When Tara, played amazingly by rising star Jenna Ortega, leaves her hospital room in a wheelchair after feeling unsafe, she discovers the body of Deputy Clay, who had his throat slit wide open. I'm going to say that Deputy Clay was killed by Richie because it makes the most sense given the following scene. He was the one who encountered Tara after going to check on her, and he would have had plenty of time to do it before going to check on Tara, and he wouldn't have had to put on the costume since he presumably was killing Deputy Clay from behind. Also, judging by the kill style, it fits more in line with Richie's, so this one goes to Richie. This one, ladies and gentlemen, is a very sad one to talk about. Dewey Riley is unfortunately our 5th victim in this movie after being undoubtedly one of the best parts of the past 4 movies. Dewey was a character that everybody loves, so to see him finally bite the bullet after cheating Father Death multiple times is... it's heartbreaking, man. Dewey dies when he gets jumped by the killer after showing up to the hospital with Sam and saving Tara and Richie from the killer. When he gathers everybody into the elevator, he remembers that the only way to truly kill a Ghostface is to shoot them in the head. And when he goes to do that, he gets distracted by a phone call from Gale. Distracted for literally 1 second, the killer gains the opportunity to jump him and stab him in the stomach before pulling out a second knife and stabbing him in the back before dragging both blades up his torso, spilling his blood and guts, and killing him once and for all after uttering the iconic phrase, "It's an honor." God, rest in peace, Dewdrop. You are still missed to this day. As much as you all hate to admit it, Dewey was killed by none other than Stu Macher. Haha, just kidding. He was killed by Amber. She admits it in her attempt to kill Gale during the 3rd act, and she was the one who wanted to make sure all of the legacy characters die. I've seen a lot of people complain that Dewey dying like this makes him look like a total idiot, but hasn't Dewey always been kind of a dunderhead? We've seen across the past 5 movies that he's never really been the brightest and often does things without thinking about them. I'm not too mad about it, but either way, rest in peace, Dewey. It truly was an honor. Liv McKenzie is the girlfriend of Chad Beeks Martin, and in my opinion, a very underused character. She's played by Sonia Amar, a French model and actress who appeared in many French indie films. Her death happens after Mindy is attacked, and the group gathers in the living room, who all begin accusing each other of being the killer. Amber claims she was with Tara, which she was, and Richie claims that he was in the basement getting beer. They notice blood on Liv's hands and says she found Chad outside, who was attacked. Amber and Richie both accuse her, and just before Liv can plead her innocence, Amber pulls out a gun and shoots her in the head, confirming her status as the killer. This is probably the best killer reveal scene in the franchise, in my opinion. This kill was done by Amber. You probably know how the show works by now. Richie Curse is the first killer to go on this count. He's the boyfriend of our main character Samantha Carpenter and is a goofy and nice but paranoid lover. He's played amazingly by the hot hunk of man Jack Quaid, who I would literally commit mortal sins for. He's best known as Huey Campbell on Amazon Prime's The Boys, which you should absolutely go watch if you haven't already. It's a fantastic show. Richie dies after Amber is pretty much burned alive on the stove by Gale, and afterwards he has a fight with Sam and they end up pushing each other down the stairs. When Sam is confined to the ground, she notices a knife over by the curtain and crawls towards it as Richie slowly follows her. When he is finally about to kill her, she grabs the knife and stabs Richie 23 fucking times all over his torso and finishes it off with a classic knife wipe. Sorry, Huey, looks like Compound V is not going to heal that. Arguably the most brutal end to a ghost face yet. Such good stuff. He's killed by Sam. Yeah. Amber Freeman is kind of the third-party friend of the group who is a bit of a serious and downtrodden girl. She's liked by pretty much everybody in the group, but Mindy doesn't really care for her. As I said, she's played amazingly in post-reveal by Mikey Madison, who somehow manages to perfectly emulate the same unhinged energy brought by Stu in the original. After Sam ends Richie once and for all, the group of old and new final girls all stand pretty awkwardly for a moment, trying to take in the absolute clusterfuck of events that just happened. However, they always come back for one last scare, so Amber charges at the group with a knife before she is shot dead once and for all by Tara. Alright, cool. It was done by Tara. Thanks. Well guys, thank you so much for watching my Who Killed Who for Scream 2022. I'll have another Who Killed Who for you guys coming up soon, but until then, my name is Zero, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.